This video is going to show you how to set up a shooting basketball type game. So with my game Crazy Hoops, I leave some introductions, use the spacebar and arrow keys to shoot and move the ball. To win, make 10 shots in 45 seconds. So when we click the start button, what happens is I can press the space bar and either miss or make. Now I can also use the arrow keys. I'm not going to go up or forward because I don't want them to just walk right up to the goal. So I didn't code the up or down keys, but just the left and right. But when I hit the space bar, it presses, or excuse me, it shoots, and hopefully I can make a shot to see how that works out. So notice the time is counting down, and also notice the ball is going to random spaces as well as the hoop sprite, making it a little bit more difficult. So when I actually hit one, notice how it said nice and changes the score. So let's take a look inside of the code. So the most complicated piece of code was the basketball, okay? So let's walk through what I told it to do. I told it to, when green flag was clicked, it was going to hide. Now, when I press the space bar for the whole game, 3 different things are going to happen. So the first if-then statement that I have is if the space bar is pressed, then repeat moving 10 steps until it either touches the basketball net or touches the edge. So it's just going to keep moving forward. This is what's going to make it move. Then my next if-then statement, notice how it's still in the forever bracket, but it's not inside of this other if-then statement. So this one says, if it touches the basketball net, then say nice, hide, change the score by 1, and then it goes back to a random location. I wanted to go back to this negative Y location because that's what takes it back here, but I wanted it to pick a random X location so that way it kind of changed up how difficult the game was. And then it shows back up. The reason why I actually put in this wait 0.5 seconds and the reason why I had it say nice is because it was difficult to tell if you actually got the point. It was lining up so fast. So this allowed for a nice clear transition. Then my last if-then statement is if touching edge, then hide, go back to the beginning and show. So basically it's what this one was up here, but it doesn't say nice and change score by 1. It's just saying that when the ball gets to the edge over here, it comes back to a random location, okay? So that's how I got that coded. Now for the basketball net, this is how I got it to move around. Again, I wanted it to stay on that Y. I'll start this over again here. I wanted it to stay on that same Y location, just moving back and forth, but I did want it to go to different X locations. So I'm using this glide option. The reason why I changed up these two numbers, 0.5 and 1 second, is because I wanted it to have some randomness, kind of jumping back and forth, and so that allowed that to happen. Now also notice I have when green flag clicked hide because of my intro page, and then when that message comes out of start, that's when I had to go to a position and start moving. And I have it repeating until the score reaches 10, and then it's supposed to hide, or at least go away. So let's take a look at my backdrop. So for my backdrop, I created a few backdrops here. I have my start backdrop, I have my basketball court, I have my U1, and I have my game over. I also have this sprite that pops up when the you win, so I've also added that as something that can be coded as well. So on my backdrops, I do tell it to hide the variables of score and time, and then to show, this is how I set my timer up. I set it to 45 seconds. I actually have it counting down, so I have it start at 45 and then subtract 1 second every time, and then it switches to backdrop game over. Now, to make it so it actually switches to the you win, I wrote a script that says when score equals 10, it switches to backdrop U1 and it hides those variables. So this is how I get the timer to broadcast the game over message, and this is how I get it to show the U1. Now the last thing that I did, and you don't have to do this, but I just want to explain this part of my code, is on this sprite here in the beginning, okay? So I told it to, when green flag is clicked, it's going to show. When this sprite is clicked on, it will send out the broadcast message. This is what makes my ball show up. This is also what makes the hoop start going. So when the game receives this message under the start button, then that button hides and it goes away for the rest of the game. So basically the most complicated piece of code to write is your shooting and getting your basket to move back and forth. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So good luck making your game.